Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to the Ekādaśī narration of Jayā Ekādaśī, which is also called Bhaimi Ekādaśī. So we shall begin. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Jayā Ekādaśī or Bhaimi Ekādaśī from the Bhaviṣya-uttara Purāṇa. Yudhishthir Maharaj said, O Lord of the Lords, Shri Krishna, all glories unto you. O Master of the universe, you alone are the source of the four types of living entities, those born from eggs, those born from perspiration, those born from seeds, and those born from embryos. You alone are the root cause of all, O Lord, and therefore you are the creator, maintainer, and destroyer. So here Maharaj Yudhishthir is continuing his dialogue with Lord Shri Krishna. This is how most Ekādaśī stories begin, because most of those Ekādaśī's stories were narrated from Lord Krishna to Maharaj Yudhishthir directly. So, four types of living entities. The living entity can be born. When we say born, we mean that he accepts a material body. How does this happen? Through eggs, perspiration, seeds, and embryos. So eggs are actually baby chicken. They're already born, but they simply need to be taken care of so that their body will grow, manifest. I've seen actually a video recently of a man. He went into a supermarket, any supermarket. He bought some eggs. And then he did a homemade incubator for chicks, little baby chicken. And he simply posed those eggs that he bought in a normal supermarket, and he just put those eggs there, and he made a time lapse, So a couple days later, or maybe weeks, all the chicks came out. So life is there, and they think that eating eggs is not eating animals. It is a baby chicken. Eggs are baby chicken. And or baby birds or baby reptiles, whatever it is, but egg is a baby. An egg is a baby. So to do omelets or whatever, fry some eggs, you're frying the body of a baby, the unmanifested body of a baby. The spirit soul has not started to expand yet to create the material form, because the environment was not proper. There needs to be the heat of the mother, or in different types of entities is differently. It is said in Shastra that the sea turtle lay eggs on the beach and then goes back in the ocean and meditates on those eggs. She thinks of those eggs, and because of that meditation, those eggs actually, there's a specific word to say when an egg opens, I do not know. So, but those babies are born, you see. So there has to be a proper environment, proper atmosphere, for the egg to be born. So yes, 4. Just now, I'm sorry to speak a lot. We have just started the story, but I want to say, Elon Musk, Elon Musk, right? The founder of Tesla, and he's one of the richest men on earth, they say now. So he's very much into technology and these robots, these cyber androids, robot. And he actually believes that they are sentient. He calls them semi-sentient beings. So the rascal does not know what life is. He does not know how consciousness emerges. In fact, not only he, but any scientist at the present moment, so-called scientists, not all of them, but most of them, the prominent ones at least, do not know what consciousness is. The entire science is based on a theory. They cannot prove that consciousness evolved from matter. They cannot prove that. Yet every single day we see that life comes from life. A son is born of two parents, a bird of two birds. So life comes from life. We see billions of examples every day. Yet they try to say that no, the original life came from matter, and yet they cannot do it. Theory of evolution, is it not? Where is the monkey turning into a man now? We see that all monkeys are the same. We don't see a monkey that is evolving, that is losing its hair, right? We don't see any species that is turning into another species. The recorded history that they have now is what, 5,000 years? Where in those 5,000 years have you recorded that the monkey has been slowly shape-shifting into another monkey? Or, the son of this monkey and then the child of that monkey in this way loses its hair and starting to become a human being. Where? When? They say that 10,000 BC, men were like half monkey-like. That's only 15,000, not even 12,000 years ago. But in this 5,000 year history, you cannot see one change. This is just one of the whole in their whole theory. And Prabhupada said, ape-like man or man-like ape is still present. The gorilla looks like a man. And sometimes some black men have got some very ape-like features. So those skulls or whatever you're finding doesn't prove that there was no civilization before, because according to Vedic civilization, we burn the corpse, and even bones burn, the way they used to do a funeral pyre, yeah? So civilized human beings burn their corpse. Uncivilized human beings, yes, they will keep. So they found the skulls of, the 5th class, 6th class, 7th class men who are all still there. There are still some tribes in South America and Africa, and their features, their skull, their bone-likes are very different from ours. So they are interested in dead bones. We are interested in living brain. We want to see the past through the intelligence of the sages. They laid down these shastras for us, and we see through that. We see that, yes, there were some very, very advanced scholars that lived before, because we read. It's dog business. They go dig, try to find a bone, lick it, smell it, and oh yeah, we're the best. And these people were lesser than us. So anyway, there won't be any robot that will have consciousness. This is foolish. This is just like a child being very much amazed by seeing a puppet. The adult controls the puppet. He knows very well that the puppet is dead and that the conscious living being is the one controlling this. Similarly, someone who's situated in knowledge knows that this robot cannot have consciousness because it is simply programmed to act like a human being. In other words, the human being has to do the programmation and put this into that so-called living thing, and then that living thing will simply manifest symptoms of consciousness, like answering answers and all. But it cannot develop an actual realization of his own existence. Why? Because there's no spirit soul, that's all. There is no spirit soul that is put within that robot. Nor will Krishna make this, because Krishna here says it. 4 ways of being born: eggs, perspiration, seeds, and embryos. That's it. So, okay. So Maharaj Yudhishthira is praising Lord Shri Krishna, and he's trying to please his Lord, so that his Lord becomes pleased and narrates this story of Ekādaśī. My dear Lord, you have so kindly explained to me the auspicious day known as the Sattila Ekādaśī, which occurs during the dark fortnight of the month of Magha, January, February. Now please explain to me the Ekādaśī that occurs in the light fortnight of this month. By what name is it known? And what is the process for observing it? Who is the presiding deity that is to be worshipped on this sublime day, which is so very dear to you? So, which is so very dear to you? This is why Yudhishthira Maharaj is so inquisitive in knowing about this Ekādaśī. He inquires out of love. That is the impetuous. There are different sorts of impetuous for one to perform devotional activities, or any activity, for a matter of fact, but even in the realm of bhakti, there are different sorts of impetuous. Some perform devotional service for revenge, for destroying someone. It is there. Some devotees are in the mode of ignorance and they are vengeful. Vengeful devotee can be very much active. They can be appearing to do so much devotional activities, yet the motive behind all of this is not, oh, which is so very dear to you, my Lord. No. It is to maybe destroy someone else or another devotee. Some devotees are after money. They want to perform devotional service so that they can get money. Some are after fame. We see that a lot. The younger generation in ISKCON, so many are singing bhajans as if they have attained prema bhakti, making a show. How do we know they're making a show? Very simple. If we see their lives, it is full of anarthas, full of unwanted habits. There was this young group in ISKCON. They have those kol, those mridanga, few of them, and very famous. I'm not gonna name names, but young men. And he was caught up in the airport with some marijuana in his suitcase. So he cannot give up smoking ganja. So, but yet when he's having kirtan, he, seems that he's very much in ecstasy. So that is nonsense. That is sahajism, sahajya. Take this Krishna consciousness very cheap, Let me become famous by chanting Hare Krishna. This Hare Krishna, Shastra says, the Acharya says, is not different than Krishna. The name of Krishna is not different from him. So let me use Krishna for my sense of gratification. Let Krishna be my servant. I will chant his name and he will bring people to me so that they worship me, that they find me to be a great devotee. So that is in the mode of passion. So many different impetures. A pure devotee is simply to please the Lord. Yudhishthira Maharaj, you're not asking this out of inquisitiveness. Oh, what happened? What is the story? I want to hear, it's going to be a nice thing to hear. No, he wants to know because it's pleasing to Krishna. Ekādaśī is the most dear day of the Lord. We saw that in the first Ekādaśī story. There was a few Ekādashis ago, the birth of Ekādaśī. How she was born, Ekādaśī Devi. So he's asking, okay, he just heard about Sattila Ekādaśī, which was the previous Ekādaśī, which is observed by consuming tila seeds, right? Sesame seed, yeah. Anyway, Prabhupada did not introduce the consumption of sesame seed on that particular Ekādaśī, but according to that story, if one wants to follow very strictly according to Shastra, there is such consummation. So here he's asking which deity is presiding on this particular Ekādaśī today, Jayā Ekādaśī. He wants to know which form of the Lord is to be worshipped. Lord Shri Krishna replied, O Yudhishthira, I shall gladly tell you about the Ekādaśī that occurs during the light half of this month of Magha. This Ekādaśī obliterates all kinds of sinful reactions and demoniac influences that may be affecting the spirit soul. It is known as Jayā Ekādaśī, and the fortunate soul who observes a fast on this sacred day is relieved of the great burden of ghostly existence. Thus, there is no better Ekādaśī than this, for it truly bestows freedom from birth and death. It is to be honored very carefully and diligently. So you to listen to me very attentively. O Pandava, as I explain a wonderful historic episode regarding this Ekādaśī, an episode that I have already related in the Padma Purāṇa. So Krishna is, he knows where everything is, the Lord, he knows that he already revealed that story in the Padma Purāṇa. Vedas are an emanation from his breathing. Mahavishnu, when he breathes, not when he breathes, he's always breathing. Sometimes we have this conception of the Lord that when he did that, when he did this, but he's absolute, so there's no when he did that. To our eyes, there seems to be a timetable that we can put on his activities, that he did this and he did. But if he's absolute, his activities are also absolute, because his activities are not different from him. Right? So the Lord is not different from his name, pastimes, qualities, entourage, paraphernalia. So therefore all these things must be beyond time and space, which means there is no question of past and present and future. So if we say when the Lord, it is said that the Vedas emanated from the Lord's breathing, but the Lord is always breathing. So does that mean the Veda stops emanating from the, we have a very narrow perspective to try to understand the Lord, who is a dokshaja. He cannot be approached by any means, material means. So, generally the Ekādaśī stories are like this. The Lord will relate something that happened on that particular day, which will give glory to this Ekādaśī. So, let us continue. Long, long ago, in the heavenly planets, Lord Indra ruled his celestial kingdom very nicely, and all the demigods living there were very happy and content. In Nandana forest, which was beautifully graced with parijata flowers, Indra drank ambrosia whenever he liked and enjoyed the service of 50 million celestial maidens, the Apsaras, who danced in ecstasy for his pleasure. Now, this is the king of heaven, 50 million celestial maidens. What do they know about sense gratification here on this planet? Of course, devotees, we don't want to be allured by all these things, but even when it comes to sense gratification, people now have no idea what it is. 50 million celestial maidens. Now, when we see one man, he's got maybe one pretty woman, we think, oh, he's a big man, he's successful. Of course, we have to be careful when discussing about this. We have to keep in this is death, because sense gratification, illicit sex, being too attached to this married life or even unmarried life, sex life at all, without Krishna consciousness is a dark well. We were forced to be born. Why? I didn't want to be here. Did any of you want it to be born? Why are you here? Why are you there? Why am I here? So there must be a cause why we're forced. That means there's a potency that forced us to be born. Why is this? So, because we were still attached to sex. Bottom line is this. Material world means sex. Everywhere we see male, female, male, female, male, female. Even birds, they have got their male-female business. So we took birth as men, most probably because we were women in our past life and we were attached to our husband, and therefore we got a male body. So that is a plus. It is nice to be attached to a man, if we can get a man body, which is more, congenial for spiritual advancement. This is why in the Shastra it is said that it always encourages women to be very much attached to their husband, so that they can get a male body. So now we have been forced to be born. That means we are entangled. Okay, so we have to be careful. But still, for discussion's sake, here Lord Indra is served by 50 million apsaras who danced in ecstasy for his pleasure. So he's the king of heaven, therefore definitely the sense gratification he enjoys would surpass everyone else. And that's why he's so anxious about keeping his post. Actually, he's full of anxiety also. He's always trying to block people on earth, great devotees or sages on earth that might get his post. He will block, just like he stole the sacrificial horse from who? Was it from King Prithu? I think so. Or he even had illicit sex with the wife of a great rishi. He's got 50 million celestial apsaras and it's not enough. He has to go and have sex with the... we criticize Indra not because of us. Who are we compared to Lord of the heavenly planets? We criticize on the strength of the Acharya. The Acharya says like this, therefore we say like that. Just like the kid who's behind the father and he says, yeah, you're a thief, my friend. So we say like that to Lord Indra, because after all, he's a rascal sometimes. He acts like a rascal. This is what Shastra says. Again, who are we compared to Indra? But he went and had sex with this Muni's wife. She was very attractive, so he disguised himself as that Muni and he had sex with her. And he got cursed, He got cursed to have vaginas all over his body. So all over his body he had vaginas, because the sage cursed him, you're so lusty, you after vagina so much, then here, So he got scared to have this. So then of course he pleaded that, please, this is too grave of a curse, how can I live? So then the Muni transformed into eyes. So all the female sexual organ became eye. So that's why he's called the god with 1,000 eyes. He's got eyes all over his body. So so he was there enjoying parijata flowers. This is related to another of his rascaldom, that Krishna came and take one parijata tree, and he wanted to take it for his wife, Satyabhama. And Indra became angry and he fought with Krishna. Now, I think some of the Acharya were displeased by this, Okay. Many singers, led by Pushpa Danda, sang in sweet voices beyond compare. Chitrasena, Indra's chief musician, was there in the company of his wife Malini and his handsome son Malyavan. An Apsara named Pushpavati became very much attracted to Malyavan. Indeed, Cupid's sharp arrows pierced the core of her heart. Her beautiful body and complexion, along with the enchanting movements of her eyebrows, captivated Malyavan. Okay, there's a lot of names here, so we're going to say that again, you see. There's Pushpadanda, who's leading all the singers. Chitrasena, he is Indra's chief musician, and he's got his wife, Malini, and their son, Malyavan. Now there's one Apsara, one of the dancing girls, Pushpavati. She's very much attracted to Malyavan, so the son of Chitrasena and Malini, who are the chief musician of Lord Indra. Okay. So she saw Malyavan, and she's captivated. Okay. O king, listen as I describe the splendid beauty of Pushpavati, the Apsara who was dancing. She has incomparably graceful arms with which to embrace a man like a fine silken noose. Her face resembles the moon. Her lotus eyes reached almost to her lovely ears, very, very large, which were adorned with wonderful and costly earrings. Her thin, ornamented neck looked like a conch, having 3 lines. Her waist was very slender, the size of a fist. Her hips were broad, and her thighs like the trunks of banana trees. Her naturally beautiful features were complemented by gorgeous ornaments and garments. Her breasts were highly raised, emphasizing her prime of youth, and to look upon her feet was to behold newly grown red lotuses. So the inhabitants of the heavenly planets are very, very beautiful. Actually, you see all these manga, you might know this nonsense cosplay, all these girls that unfortunately are being abused by dressing as characters from some cartoon or whatever it is. They dress in very attractive way. They're all trying to look like demigods from the heavenly planets. You see, here in Asia, they have got small eyes, but they always try to make their eyes big. They get some surgery to get big eyes. So big eye is definitely a sign of beauty. Everybody is attracted to very big eye. In these manga, these drawings, they always make big eyes. The princesses in the cartoons or whatever it is, big eyes. Not small eyes, right? And then slim waist, it is said, a woman who has got slim waist, size of a fist, her waist was so small. So slim waist is attractive. So why these things? So now why are they attractive? And why is it so? So actually, because this is big eyes is one of the feature of Vaikuntha or Krishna Loka. The spiritual sky, everybody has got very, very big eyes. If you see the Lord in his deity form, he has got very big eyes. And Shrimati Radharani, she has got very big, beautiful eyes. If you would see in person like this outside, it would be like very much, of course you would not see. They are from, Vaikuntha. But you can see, if you would see someone outside, you will actually almost be scared, because the eye, this type of eyes like this, like we have human, this is very small actually, very small. eyes are supposed to be very big, real eyes, spiritual eyes. The inhabitants of the spiritual world, they have got huge eyes, You just take a look at the deities, how they are. In any ISKCON temple, our ISKCON temple, it doesn't matter. You see at Radha Krishna's, their eyes are so big, so beautiful. So that's why we're attracted to big eyes. So there's a reality behind all this flow of attraction. Why we like nice gardens? Because Vrindavan is the most beautiful garden. Why we like to hear the sound of birds and see the river. All these things are there in Vrindavan. Why we like nice music? Because Krishna plays the flute. They try to explain all these natural feeling of the living entity by this evolution, and he has to, all nonsense, so much speculation, bewildering the whole human race. But we know we are simply trying to go back to Vrindavan, that's all. This is why we're doing all these gardens, these parks. We like to be in the parks because we are missing the forest of Vrindavan. This is what Prabhupada said. So this Apsara was very, very beautiful, and she was attracted to Malayavan, who is the son of Chitrasena, the chief musician of Indra. Okay. Very beautiful Apsara. Seeing Pushpavati in all her heavenly beauty, Malyavan was bewitched at once. They had come with the other performers to please Lord Indra by singing and dancing enchantingly. But because they had become so enamored of each other, pierced through the heart by the arrows of Cupid, lust personified, they were utterly unable to sing or dance properly before the Lord and Master of the heavenly realms. Their pronunciation was wrong and their rhythm careless. Lord Indra understood the source of the errors at once. Offended at the discord in the musical performance, he became very angry and screamed, "You useless fools! You pretend to sing for me while in a stupor of infatuation with each other. You are mocking me. I curse you both to suffer henceforward as pishachas." Here it's translated as hobgoblins. Pishachas is a kind of ghost, actually. As husband and wife, go to the earthly regions and reap the reactions of your offenses. Wow. So Indra has got his sense gratification disturbed, so he kills them. Of course, he's a king. We have to be very, very respectful with the king, Naradeva. When king is on earth, he's called Naradeva, the god in the human form. So they disrespected Lord Indra, so they got cursed by him. Struck dumb by these harsh words, Malyavan and Pushpavati at once became morose and fell from the beautiful Nandana forest in the kingdom of heaven to the Himalayan peak here on earth. So sometimes demigods fall down to earth in this way. Immeasurably distressed and their celestial intelligence vastly diminished by the effects of Lord Indra's fierce curse, they lost their sense of taste and smell, and even their sense of touch. It was so cold and miserable high on the Himalayan wastes of snow and ice that they could not even enjoy the oblivion of sleep. So here we learn that even Pishachas sleep. The intelligence got vastly diminished. The inhabitants of heavenly realms are super intelligent compared to us. They understand, of course they don't apply their intelligence in some rascaldom like the humans are doing at the moment, but still they're very, very intelligent. If you see the Vedas, what we have with the Vedas, for example, the Puranas actually is one. It was one, and then it was kind of categorized into 18, the Mahapuranas, 6 in the mode of goodness, 6 in the mode of passion, 6 in the mode of ignorance. But originally it was one. So if we take all the Puranas that we have here on earth and we put them together, it doesn't cross over, I believe is, anyway, a few 100,000 verses, I believe. But in the heavenly planets, the Puranas are 1 billion verse. Just imagine, even Mahabharata is much more voluminous in the heavenly planet. Even Ramayana is much more voluminous. So they are very, very intelligent to study all this Vedic literature. So imagine having the intelligence of a demigod and being diminished to having the intelligence of a pishacha. So they fell down, heavenly planet, to the Himalayan range. The Himalayas, there's some path to go to heaven there. Roaming aimlessly hither and thither in those harsh altitudes, Malyavan and Pushpavati suffered more and more, from one moment to the next. Even though they were situated in a cave, because of the snowfall and cold, their teeth chattered ceaselessly, and their hair stood on end because of their fright and bewilderment. Yeah, they were dropped there in the heaven. I mean, just now, if someone just brings us to the Himalaya, how much we're going to be suffering. Even here in China, you can see I'm always wearing this in my recent Ekādaśī story, because it's cold inside. Actually, it's not that cold, but it's cold outside, and because the walls are very, they don't isolate well. So even my sadhana took a hit these days. To waking up early in the morning is tougher than before, and I take hot shower, which I normally never do, but now I just cannot take cold shower in winters. So imagine you'd have no place to stay. You're in a cave. It's full of ice and snow. Wow, so much. I wouldn't want to be there. In this utterly desperate situation, Malyavan said to Pushpavati, "What abominable sins did we commit to have to suffer in these pishacha bodies, in this impossible environment? This is absolutely hellish. Though hell is very ferocious, the suffering we are undergoing here is even more abominable. Therefore, it is abundantly clear that one should never commit any sin." Yeah, realizations come more quickly for the pious that are put into suffering, because we realize the nature of this world. And so the forlorn lovers trudged, I don't know what that means, trudged, Trudged, I guess, struggle to walk slowly, trudged onward in the snow and ice. By their great good fortune, however, it so happened that very day was the all-auspicious Jayā Ekādaśī, the Ekādaśī of the light fortnight of the month of Magha. Because of their misery, they neglected to drink any water, kill any game, that may be a wrong translation here, or even eat whatever fruits and leaves were available at that altitude. They unknowingly observed Ekādaśī by fasting completely from all food and drink. Sunk in misery, Malyavan and Pushpavati collapsed beneath a pipal, a banyan tree, and did not even try to get up. The sun had set by that time. The night was even colder and more miserable than the day. They shivered in the frigid snowfall as their teeth chattered in unison. And when they became numb, they embraced just to keep warm. Locked in each other's arms, they could enjoy neither sleep nor sex. Thus they suffered through the whole night under the powerful curse of the Deva Indra. So we have to be careful not to disrespect Lord Indra. So, of course, I might have disrespected him, but I'm repeating what the acharyas are saying, you see. It's not that I have some desire to disrespect him, but sometimes he acts in ways that are not approved by the pure devotee. So, such a miserable condition, teeth are chattering. Chattering means extremely cold, extremely cold. They could only hug each other, and they could not even, here it says no sex. Sex warms up the body. Maybe they could have done this to try to warm up one another, and this also they could not do. Still, O Yudhishthir, by the mercy of the fast they had by chance unknowingly observed on Jayā Ekādaśī, and because they had remained awake all night, they were blessed. So, complete fast, nirjal, means no food, no water, and remaining awake all night. This comes again and again and again in all Ekādaśī story, to remain awake all night and to completely abstain from food and drinks. And many Ekādaśī stories, the story narrates someone observing the Ekādaśī without knowing, and still they get merit, So sometimes even without knowing, someone can get the merit. Please hear what happened the next day. As Dvadasi dawned, Malyavan and Pushpavati had given up their demoniac forms and were once again beautiful heavenly beings wearing lustrous ornaments and exquisite garments. As they both looked at each other in amazement, a celestial airplane, Vimana, arrived on the spot for them. A chorus of heavenly denizens sang their praises as the reformed couple stepped into the beautiful aircraft and proceeded directly to the heavenly regions, buoyed up by the good wishes of everyone. Again, B-U-O-Y-E-D. What is this word? Cannot look it up. Okay. Soon Malyavan and Pushpavati arrived at Amaravati, Lord Indra's capital city, and then they immediately went before their Lord and offered him their cheerful obeisances. Lord Indra was astonished to see that they had been transformed, restored to their original status and forms so soon after he had cursed them to suffer as demons far, far below his celestial kingdom. Indra asked them, "What extraordinary meritorious deeds have you performed so that you could give up your Pishacha body so quickly after I cursed you? Who released you from my irresistible curse?" Malyavan replied, "O Lord, it was by the extreme mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vasudeva, and also by the powerful influence of the Jayā Ekādaśī that we were released from our suffering condition as Pishachas. This is the truth, O Master. Because we executed devotional service to Lord Vishnu by observing the day most dear to him, we have happily been restored to our former status." Indra then said, "Because you serve the Supreme Lord Sri Keshava by observing Ekādaśī, you have become worshipable even by me, and I can see that you are now completely purified of sin. Whosoever engages in devotional service to Lord Sri Hari or Lord Shiva becomes praiseworthy and worshipable even by me. Of this there is no doubt." Lord Indra then gave Malyavan and Pushpavati free rein to enjoy each other and wander about his heavenly planet. So, there's a big difference between a pauper being proud of his wealth and a billionaire being proud of his wealth. You see? So to Lord Indra's sometimes faults cannot be compared to a mundane man's fault. Not at all. He's a great personality. And his becoming envious or lusty or whatever at his position is not unbecoming, we cannot equate him to some mundane man on our planet because his position is just see how many millions of damsels were dancing for him. So to become proud for something, there's different levels, right? If someone becomes angry because of a great offense and someone who becomes angry because of a small offense, there's a big difference here. So he's still a devotee, there's no doubt about this. And here he has said, yes, you have performed devotional service to Lord Keshava, you are worshipable even by me. So he knows. It's just that because of such an opulence that he has, sometimes he's bewildered. Therefore, O Maharaj Yudhishthira, one should strictly observe a fast on the sacred day of Lord Hari, especially on this Jayā Ekādaśī, which frees one from the sin of killing even a twice-born Brahmana. A great soul who observes this fast with full faith and devotion has in effect given all kinds of charity, performed all kinds of sacrifice, and bathed in all the holy places of pilgrimage. Fasting on Jayā Ekādaśī qualifies one to reside in Vaikuntha and enjoy unending happiness for billions of yugas. Indeed, forever as the soul is eternal. O great King, Lord Shri Krishna continued, one who even hears or reads these wonderful glories of Jayā Ekādaśī achieves the blessed merit attained by performing an Agni Stoma fire sacrifice, during which the hymns from the Sama Veda are recited. Thus ends the Vrajavasi narration of the glories of Magha Shukla Ekādaśī or Jayā Ekādaśī from the Bhaviṣya-uttara Purāṇa. So here you go, you have been blessed with the merit by performing an Anistoma fire sacrifice, by hearing this Ekādaśī story, if you're still here with us. And we must hear with faith all these glories of Ekādaśī. This is the thing, we have to cultivate this faith. How to cultivate this faith? How to believe all these stories, how to believe the words of the Lord, to believe that Lord Shri Krishna is the Supreme Lord. This requires the mercy of a pure devotee. This is how we will believe. And how to get the mercy of the pure devotee? It's by following his instructions. Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, the International Hare Krishna movement, he has given us strict direction. Wake up in the morning, chant Hare Krishna 16 rounds every day. No meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, no illicit sex. Read his books. Attend Mangalarti, perform, worship the deity form of the Lord. Eat only Krishna Prasadam. All these things are there. If we do these things, our faith will naturally strengthen. Because we will be blessed by Srila Prabhupada. And when we please Prabhupada and the pure devotee of the Lord, then Krishna is pleased and he purifies the heart. And then we can have faith in all these narrations. So there's a great difference between us listening to some narration, or I would say myself, listening to a narration, and a pure devotee listening to those narrations. A pure devotee is beyond any doubt, whereas we still are contaminated with some tinge of doubts. So, wonderful Ekādaśī coming up tomorrow. If you're watching this tonight, which is February 11th, 2022. If you're watching this another year or maybe another day, I hope you had a nice Ekādaśī. So every Ekādaśī we should try our best to fast. Full fast is best. If you want to remain awake all night also, that is according to Shastra. The point is to boil down the time and just do more reading and more chanting, because eating is very time consuming, right? Especially if you cook yourself. You got to cook, you got to prepare, you got to buy the vegetables and all, put in the dishes, eat, you got to wash the dishes, and then maybe you have to digest, and so much, and maybe you have to sleep also. You have to take rest during the day because you're too full. If you just don't care for this, you don't even worry about that, then you know what you're doing, okay. I mean to say, you don't have to worry about this. What you're doing is what you're doing. You can read more, you can chant more. Now, if you fast and spend a whole day on the phone looking at some nonsense, scrolling the digital stool, then there's no point in doing Ekādaśī. Ekādaśī is about engaging in service. It's a plus, it's not a negation. Negation is just to encourage the plus. So we don't eat, it's a don't do. Negation for what? To have more time and to boil down the material consciousness, to read more. Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna books, so many books are there. Srila Prabhupada, he gave us. We have to use, we have to do these, read. Then he will be pleased. So thank you very much for having attended this Ekādaśī story. We hope that you have appreciated. And we will see you in about 2 weeks, 14 days. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Jayā Prabhupada.